and welcome to another edition of Currently in Quincy. I'm Joe Catalano. On today's program, we will get an update from Walter and Kathy Hubley of the Wollaston Hill Neighborhood Association. They're getting ready for their fall events at Safford Park. First, though, as always, we take a look at the weather and the news for you. Currently in Quincy, it is incredible. Wall-to-wall sunshine, 65 degrees right now, just a perfect 10 for this first day of autumn in the meteorological world, believe it or not. Temperatures today in the comfortable low 70s. Clear, cool this evening. Lows will drop off into the upper 50s, and just really spectacular weather right through the Labor Day weekend. A few more clouds tomorrow, but still plenty of sunshine. A little warmer with highs in the low 80s. Starting to feel summer-like on Sunday. The humidity will increase. Lots of sunshine. High Sunday in the upper 80s and pretty muggy on Labor Day itself on Monday. Some hazy sunshine and highs Monday in the mid 80s. Again, 65 with sunshine in Quincy right now. Checking out the news for you today, a community meeting is going to be held later on this month to talk about plans to build a new Squantum Elementary School. Mayor Thomas Koch says that meeting will be held on Thursday, September 14th at 6:30 in the gym of the Squantum School. The city wants to build a new school right behind the existing school and then demolish the existing school, which is now over 100 years old. The meeting will feature a presentation from the design team and also accept comments from the public about ideas, issues, or concerns for the project. Many residents have already said they hope to preserve as much of the Wendell Moses playground behind the school as possible. Others say the city should try and save the original 1912 portion of the school. The mayor says the state will likely reimburse the city for up to 60% of the cost of a new Squantum school. Officials say the new school is likely about 5 years from completion. Meantime, the new Dr. Rick DeCristofaro Early Learning Center in Quincy is just about done. A ribbon-cutting ceremony is scheduled for October 22nd, and the new center will begin accepting students early next year. Mayor Thomas Koch says the new center will provide specialized education for up to 300 students in grades K through 8 with learning disabilities and autism.
Figure out the best way to proceed from there. Would like to have open houses for the families that would use such services, and for them to come in and see what the building looks like and the state-of-the-art facility that's going to be, and then there'll be a transition, moving people into the building, and it's an exciting time for that population. It really is. I mean, some of these kids are on a bus for an hour and a half, or off to a place way away from Quincy, and then another hour and a half coming home. So, you know, if you're a family in Quincy, you know, you think about that. If something happens and trying to get there, it's just, I think, one more thing on your mind with all the challenges you already have, dealing with some of the situations that this population deals with. So I think it's a great thing that families will be able to keep their kids right in the community and get the great service here in a brand new state-of-the-art facility. And over time, it's still going to save us some money in the budget. So it's a win-win.
City purchased that building on Old Colony Avenue from Eastern Nazarene College for $6.8 million and approved another $14 million to create the new learning center. The mayor says the city used $15 million in federal rescue plan relief funds for the new center, and that the city will see additional savings by not having to transport students out of the city for their education needs. Plans are moving ahead to make some pretty major safety improvements to the intersection of Willard Street and Raschuti Drive in West Quincy. During a virtual public hearing earlier this week, state transportation officials outlined plans to install a traffic signal at that intersection and also make some improvements for pedestrians and bicyclists. Catherine Patch of the engineering firm Fuss and O'Neill says the goal of the project is to reduce the number of motorists using the Willard Street off-ramp from the expressway as a cut-through to avoid the Braintree split.
And kind of one of our goals here is to slow people down so that as they're going through, they're not kind of blinded by the sun and driving very quickly at the same time. Introducing the signal here, the illumination of the signal will hopefully be visible, and that's something that we can definitely take into consideration as we further the design. But that light indication is really what everyone's going to be looking for once they're comfortable with this new operation here, and that will hopefully be able to kind of indicate who has priority to move and in which direction, and so that will keep everyone as safe as possible.
State officials say the project is expected to mediate traffic through the year 2040, but some city officials expressed concern about the potential for future development at the Granite Links Golf Course and along Furnace Brook Parkway that could increase traffic sooner than that. The project is currently in the 25% design phase. The goal is to have it to the 75% design phase in November, and then the final design by May of 2025. A date for actual construction has not yet been determined. However, a temporary traffic signal may be installed sooner as a more immediate solution, and also to test the practicality of the final design. And future public meetings about the project are planned before the final design is completed. Two Quincy police officers helped to rescue a man from a burning home in Quincy earlier this week. Flames broke out in a first-floor living room of the duplex on Rodman Street in West Quincy. This was about 2:30 on Tuesday morning. Officers Michael Brokemeyer and Sean Fitzgerald kicked in a door and rescued a man who was sleeping in a bedroom, got him out safely. Both officers were treated at the scene for smoke inhalation, and a couple on the other side of that home escaped safely. Firefighters contained the blaze to the first floor. The cause still under investigation. The house is currently unlivable. The Red Cross was assisting the victims. The Harbor One Foundation has donated $7,500 to the Early College High School program in Quincy. Harbor One's Vice President, Joseph Silva, recently presented a check to Quincy College President, Dr. Rick DeCristofaro, and Vice President for Student Success and Partnerships, Megan Giovanni. The Early College High School program allows students in grades 10 through 12 at Quincy and North Quincy high schools the chance to take college-level courses while they're still in high school. The program is entering its third year, and about 250 students are expected to be enrolled this year. Courses are taught at the college level by Quincy Public School teachers in collaboration with Quincy College faculty. The program is geared toward students who are first generation, come from low-income families, are English language learners, and or have some disabilities. It's our check of news for you today. Coming up, Walter and Kathy Hubley are here from the Wollaston Hill Neighborhood Association because it's time for their Safford Park concert series. We'll learn all about it next. Welcome back. I'm sure the folks at the Wollaston Hill Neighborhood Association are hoping for weather just like this weekend for their upcoming Saturdays in the park at Safford Park, which kick off on September 9th and run for every weekend in September through the 30th. So why don't we welcome the President and Vice President of the Association, Walter and Catherine Hubley, to tell us all about it. Hey, guys.
Hello.
Hey, Joe.
The Hubleys are in the house.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
Yeah, this is a fun, good time to talk about this because, well, fall is here, school's back in session, summer's coming to an end, folks are looking for something to do on the weekends, I'm sure.
There's no shortage of things to do these days in the city. So.
Exactly, yeah. But before we talk about the concert series, can we talk a little bit about the Wollaston Hill Neighborhood Association itself and what it is, how it gets started, who is a member, who can be a member, what it does?
Yeah, I'll give you the rundown.
Okay.
So Catherine and I, years ago, we used to attend a lot of like the HouseNet Community Council events and other associations, and we ended up starting to volunteer for a lot of events down in HouseNet, like Chowderfest and so forth. And after a while of doing that, we kind of looked at each other and said, you know, we'd kind of like to have what they're having and something in our neighborhood that was similar in building community. They do a great job down there.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we just kind of decided to start one, and you remember how we got it started, right?
Yeah, we created an email, we did a Facebook page, we went around and talked to our neighbors, dropped off flyers, just talked to everybody that we could about what they'd be interested in, and then asked for help, and asked what their issues and concerns were, and just discuss things. And then so we started having some meetings, and found out what was important topics to everyone in our neighborhood, and then we just started doing some events. We started doing some cleanups and potluck cookouts for everybody to meet each other, because that was one of the main concerns that everyone had, was that they just really wanted to know their neighbors.
Sure.
And then we started doing other events, like our Christmas tree lighting and movie nights and stuff like that.
Yep. So, but when was that it all kind of got started?
2011?
Yeah, 2011
okay.
was when we started it up.
Okay.
As Kathy said, just going door to door with flyers, introducing ourselves to neighbors that we didn't know yet, and saying hi to the ones that we did, and had our first meeting. And as Kathy explained, we did a bunch of events, and it was actually through the Wollaston Hill Neighborhood Association that Porch Fest got started. And so Ian Kane came to us at the time and said, "Hey, I learned about this great concept. I think it would work well here." And he came to us. We sat at our dining room table, and it was really Kathy, myself, and Ian that kind of started that here in Quincy. And so Wollaston Hill was the vehicle through which we first started it.
Right. Yeah. He already had. He thought of the association right away as a way to kind of get a community event up and running. Right.
Yeah. And it was the experience of Porch Fest that kind of created this event. That that sparked the idea and gave us the list of all the musicians and artists that we could enjoy at the park.
For folks who don't know, Walter, what's Porch Fest? Because even that's been going on for a while now.
Sure, yeah. So Porch Fest going on for, we've been doing it for 7 years now or something like that. Yeah. And as I said, Ian Kane came to us and with the idea, and we brought it to life on Wollaston Hill, and then it of course spread throughout the city. So Porch Fest is a one-day music festival where bands perform on front porches throughout the city, 3 different neighborhoods in the city. And it's a free event. You just kind of walk around the neighborhood, listen to music, and meet your neighbors, and it was built in the same spirit of the association.
Okay, yeah, so that was 7 years ago, and
it happens every June. Last Saturday in June is when we hold it, so it's almost like the kickoff to summer, the end of the school year.
Yes.
And then we follow it up with some of our other programming for the rest of the year.
Right, and so when was Saturdays in the Park born?
Yeah, so I want to say it was prior to COVID.
Okay.
And we've been doing this for maybe 4 years now. We might have skipped a year. I think we skipped the COVID year.
Okay.
And so, yeah, we started off, we had a beer garden, we have live music, we put out some games, like cornhole games and different things, and then brought in some food, and it, did really well right off the bat.
Yeah.
And then it started to become a thing. People are calling us throughout the summer, like, hey, when is that going to happen? First year we did it in July. It was tremendously hot. And then subsequent years we did it in August, which was equally as hot.
And humid too.
Humid in some years. And so we decided this year to kick it out into September to see if we get any better weather. That was kind of how it's progressed.
Oh, so this is the first year it's been in September?
First year it's been in September.
Really?
Well, it did bleed into September. Last year we had it in August into September.
Okay.
This year we're just starting it and running it in September.
Oh, all right, okay. And as you mentioned, so the association itself, 12 years old. Porch Fest, 7 years old.
Yeah.
And now Saturdays in the Park,
It's 3 or 4 years old.
3 or 4 years old.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's next?
Oh, gee, we don't have enough to do already.
Yeah,
so,
right. Let's talk a little bit about Saturdays in the Park. The park itself, by the way, is Safford Park, right?
Yeah. So it's right
place.
at one of the best landmarks I use is it's right across the street from Baby Cakes on Beale Street. A lot of people seem to know where to find a cupcake shop, so that's generally a good mile marker. And it's a passive park owned by the city of Quincy, and it was the association actually in 2014 that did a Community Preservation Act request through to the CPC here in Quincy, and we were awarded, I want to say it was $143,000, and the city did a great job at implementing those funds. That allowed us, so we did a bunch of things at the park, and we noticed, okay, well, there's no power there.
Yep.
There's no water there.
Yep.
The grading of the park was kind of, it was pooling water every time it rained, things like that. So we met with a landscape architect and worked with him for weeks, actually. And he observed how people use the park, and we talked about how we wanted to use the park, and all that kind of converged together with a lot of community input. And we did a regrading of the field. They repointed the large granite wall structure that's there, replaced all the stairs, and a couple of neighbors, including us, donated granite benches to the park to give people a place to kind of sit and hang out.
Yeah.
It was a great project. The Parks Department played lead on it, and we helped out by helping facilitate input and ideas. And it was a
That's
great
almost 10
project.
years ago now.
Yeah, I know, it's hard to believe
Yeah.
it's been that long. And you
Okay.
get a great picture of it over our shoulder, which is nice.
Yes, unfortunately, one of the trees pictured in that photo is no longer with us, right, Kathy?
Sadly.
Yeah,
sadly,
the big one right there in the center of
went
the
down in one
photo?
of the past storms. Yeah.
Oh, just this past summer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's too
Yeah,
bad.
Very sad.
Oh,
It
well,
was a
that's
beautiful tree.
a little less shade in Safford Park.
Yeah.
We'll have to replace that.
Yes.
That's the next mission for the association.
That's the next application of something, I'm sure.
That's right, exactly. But it's a great little neighborhood gathering spot, right? So it really facilitates events like this really, really well.
It is great. I mean, it's also not just the programming that we do at the park, but other neighbors and other groups have also used the park.
Oh,
I
okay.
noticed the school's using the park more.
School's right across the street, so yeah.
Right, and of course the Wollaston Garden Club adopted the corner of Prospect and Beale Street.
Oh.
They do a great job there, and our
Okay.
neighbor James Hahn has adopted the other side of the park and a lot of plantings. So it's really getting contributed to by a lot of different groups, and we get a lot of requests to do different things down there. And it's almost it's nice to drive by and see someone doing their wedding photos or graduation
Oh, yeah.
photos
Yeah.
there. You know.
Okay, so let's talk about Saturdays in the park. There are 4 different events scheduled, right? September 9th, 16th, 23rd, and 30th. So what'll be happening?
All right, so yeah, every Saturday in September, starting on the 9th, running from 2 to 7 p.m., we're going to have food service, so cash for purchasing food by Craig's Cafe. Tom Anacone does a great job at bringing the food to the park. And then the folks at the Townsend and Pearl and Lime will be doing the beverage service, which will include both beer and wine and other non-alcoholic drinks as well, for purchase. And then the admission's free. There's no cost for it,
Right.
And we pay the bands through donations. And also the Townsend and Pearl and Lime folks are kicking back a little bit of money to help fund things like the porta potty and help pay for some of the
Oh,
programming.
okay.
And then we have a number of different sponsors that are helping us out. So a number of different politicians have committed to making donations to help it out. And also the Rogers Jewelers is helping support the event. And so it's a fun event. So show up at 2 o'clock, find a place in the field to hang out or
Bring
grab
a blanket or a chair?
Yeah, or use one of the picnic tables that we have. We'll have about 10 picnic tables down there with about 14 easy up tents.
Okay, okay.
Yep,
To
and-
replace the tree that
To
fell
replace
down.
the tree, yeah, unfortunately, yeah. And then just hang out all day, and it's from 2 to 7, and we'll have the first band each day usually goes on around 3 o'clock. As soon as people start to gather around, we have them start up, and then the next band goes on around 5 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
And we have a great lineup this year. I'm super excited about it. And
Yeah.
a lot of the bands that are performing this year, with the exception of only 2, are actually Porch Fest bands, which is how we connected up with them, which is a great way of showing that Porch Fest, in addition to giving emerging bands a venue, it gives them also possible opportunities for paying gigs, which this is one. So
Okay, yep. So they probably can use some of the videos that they take from these performances and use them on their social media or what have you.
Yeah.
Or, or reach out through the music world.
Yeah, and
that
unlike
way.
Porch Fest, which is all volunteer, that
Yeah.
we're actually able to pay the bands through the money that we raise.
Yeah.
Fundraising.
So it is a paying gig for them too.
Yeah,
This is how
yeah.
they make their living. So,
Yeah.
so we've got the Rudder Kings in the fall.
Yeah, on the first week, the Rudder Kings, it's Kevin Coughlin and a few of his friends and neighbors
Yes.
that do a lot of like 50s, 60s rock and so forth. They also perform at the Pumpkin Spice Festival that Kevin Coughlin's son runs in October.
Yes.
So, and they've played around a couple of different places. I think they played at the Ruth Gordon.
Yes, the opening act actually this year. Yes.
Yeah. And then the fall, they're so it's interesting. So Kevin's band does a lot of 50s, 60s, and 70s, and the fall does 80s, 90s, and 2000s.
Okay.
So, they're inspired by bands like Van Halen and other bands.
Multi-generational, so everybody can find something that they like.
Yeah, and then I'll talk about the next. So the next week on the 16th we have the Saltwater Suns. So I ran into them at Break Rock Brewing. They perform there pretty regularly, and they're only assembled for this fall. And these are very talented musicians that have worked in bands that have opened up for bands like Florida Georgia Line, like real headlining bands. But they're a duo that just got together for this summer and fall, and they just do a great job. Once I saw them, I said I gotta try to book these guys for the park. I think they're gonna do great.
Okay.
And then SPX, you can tell.
Yeah, I was
them
going to say SPX is a band that I've heard play a number of times in Weymouth. They play at the Cottage a lot, and they're a 7-piece band. And I actually know
Wow.
the lead guitarist person who plays in the band is Tommy Hamilton. I actually went to high school with him.
No kidding.
Great guy. But they actually don't keep any of the money that they raise in playing anywhere that they play, they give it all back to children's cancer research.
Wow.
Type of event.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is a philanthropic mission for them.
Exactly.
Yeah, nice.
So they love playing and they love giving back to
Super.
organizations that help with children's cancer.
Nice that there's so many local connections too with these performers, you know, to Quincy in the South Shore. 'Cause I know that's one of the goals of Porch Fest also, is to give exposure to local bands, even as young as high school kids. So.
Oh yeah, well if you've ever attended Porch Fest, you know we have the full spectrum of
Yeah.
different music and
Yeah.
different age groups and different levels of experience. Yeah.
Then the 23rd is a name that I think a lot of folks will recognize.
Yeah, Anthony Andronico, senior, so not the counselor, but his dad.
Okay.
He plays around at a number of different venues, including the Poor Yard and other places. And yeah, he'll be doing a two and a half hour set down at the park, opening up for Reds Neckas, who they've played at Chowderfest, and they've also played at Porch Fest, and they do a number of other venues throughout the city. I've yet to see them personally, but I heard they did a dynamite job at Chowderfest last year, so
Okay.
that's why I immediately tried to get them on the roster.
Okay. Walter, always on the lookout for new talent.
It's just become something I do, right?
And then you wrap it up on the 30th with Sample the Cat
Yeah.
and The Point.
Yep, so these are two bands that played in Wollaston Hill for Porch Fest,
Oh.
and I'm the chair of the Wollaston Hill Porch Fest.
Porch Fest's
Yeah.
venue? Okay.
Yeah, and so they were awesome bands. They were really, really good, and they had a huge crowd in front of the houses watching them. Sample the Cat, the vocals were amazing.
Really?
Complete, yeah, just the power behind her vocals were outstanding. She did Valerie was amazing, and The Point was another band that was just a really great group.
Are they from Quincy Point? Or?
No,
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 okay.
they're from. Did you know where they were
I
from?
want to say, well, Sample the Cat was from Western Mass, if
Yeah.
I'm not mistaken, and then is The Point from is it Winchester?
Might be Winchester.
Might be.
That
Oh, all
sounds
right.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
but-
right.
Yeah, and they heard about Porch Fest, volunteered for Porch Fest, and Kathy and I were walking around Wollaston Hill, and we actually went from watching watching The Point to Sample the Cat, and at the end of the night, Kathy looked at me and said, "We should book these two
Yeah.
bands. They're
Okay.
really
Yeah.
good."
Both
So,
amazing.
Interesting. All right. So it sounds like you've got a great lineup. It's all free, right?
Yep, all free to get in. Just the only thing you need to pay for is food and drinks.
Right. What if, Walter, it rains?
Well, we've already kind of, ordered the right weather along with the right beverages and the right food.
Okay.
So, unless that doesn't get delivered properly, which I don't know why it would.
I can't imagine.
No rain date. We're just going to charge through it. I think we've only had to call a rain date one time in the past 4 times we've done this.
We've been very lucky.
Yeah, and the weather for this coming Saturday, not tomorrow, but the coming Saturday after that, the first event looks pretty good. So
Well,
we're
yes,
excited about
right now.
that. Yeah, I'll check later, and maybe a little different, then we'll check back and a
Yeah.
little bit different. So.
Do you update the schedule on like the website or social media for the association?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Okay.
So yeah, any last minute changes. So the Quincy Sun was generous enough to publish the schedule, and a number of other locations publish it. But the best way to keep in touch with what's going on and what the beverage program is going to be and the food program, and any changes to the schedule would be to follow us on Facebook and Instagram,
Okay.
and you can find both of those from our website.
Okay. All right. Very good.
And I do want to throw
yeah,
a thank
please.
you out there before we. So the Troop 42 Boy Scout group
Yes.
is going to be helping us with setup and breakdown of the tables and tents. So I want to throw a huge thank you out to them
Certainly.
for offering to help out with that.
Great,
And
yeah.
also North Quincy High School Junior ROTC helped us out last year, and they're also going to be coming back this year. The cadets are going to be helping us with setting up tables. And
Those
breaking-
kids are amazing. They
They
are
are
just
amazing.
everywhere. And you
Yeah,
don't even, I
so-
mean, hardly have to ask. I think they look for things like this, and volunteer and reach
Yeah.
out. So good.
So we
Very good.
greatly appreciate that help. So.
Absolutely. Kathy, how many folks in the association, roughly, do you know right now in the Wollaston Hill Neighborhood Association?
Oh, how many?
How many people have
we have-
registered as members? It's a couple hundred.
Couple hundred?
Yeah.
Okay. How does one become a member?
Just
Just
come
ask.
Join. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, we do have a
website,
list.
and
We do have a list that you can sign up to and provide your contact information, but there is no sort of formal membership
Okay.
process. There's also
No.
no dues. It's really just for people in the neighborhood, and we also welcome people in the surrounding area. We actually get a lot of people who come from even Milton to attend some of our
No
events,
kidding.
and we welcome
Yeah.
that. It's, meet your neighbors, and it's, that's what we try to bring together.
Yeah, okay.
We're very welcoming.
I was just going to say,
Yeah.
for someone considering it, why would you suggest they become a member of the Wollaston Hill Neighborhood Association?
Just to meet everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great. It's a great way to just meet your neighbors and just come up and have fun events. That's what we like to do.
It's free music, it's beer, it's food,
Yeah.
it's being out in the sunshine. What's
Yeah.
bad about it, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
no, I know. And we do other events that are, like I said, through the association that
Yes.
are just fun events to meet your neighbors as well. So, and we have a movie night coming up right before our first Saturdays in the Park.
Oh, okay.
So we'll have for back to school bubble party and movie night on September 8th. So it's another way for people to come out and just meet people.
Just
see
enjoy.
people. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So we do events like that as well.
Well, of course, by the end of September at 7 o'clock, it's starting to get dark out. So.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We did adjust the time. We used to run the event until about 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then after looking at how dark it gets a
Yeah.
little earlier, we said, do we really want to be breaking down these tents and tables
In the dark,
in
yeah,
the dark?
exactly.
No.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you both. Hope
Yeah.
you have a great series again this year and a wonderful participation in the association. We look forward to Saturdays in the Park.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're very welcome, and hopefully the weather cooperates too.
Oh, it
I
will.
hope so.
Like it is this weekend for sure. Just
Yeah.
enough time to check the forecast for you for the rest of the day today. What you see is what you get out there. Wall to wall sunshine, low humidity, comfortable temperatures, warm days, cool evenings. Tomorrow we start to feel a lot more like summer with a high in the low 80s. Definitely summer-like on Sunday. Upper 80s. It'll be more humid as well. And on Monday, Labor Day itself, some hazy sunshine, highs in the low 80s, but staying dry right through at least the middle of next week. Thanks again to Walter and Kathy Hubley for joining us from the Wollaston Hill Neighborhood Association. Thank you to our crew. Thank you for watching. Speaking of Labor Day, we're off on Monday. Join us again next Friday. We're going to meet the new director of the Massachusetts State Lottery, Bill Bracken, who is from Quincy. Meantime, check our website, qatv.org. You'll find our latest programs there, news and information, video on demand, live streaming, and a whole lot more. For all of us here at QATV, I'm Joe Catalano. Have a very happy and safe Labor Day weekend. We'll see you next week.